Hey everyone, I'm Brian.
I'm Tyler.
And we're Gardener in Love.
Hey guys, welcome to part 2 of our moon garden series. So if you watched part 1, you saw us plant our boxwood hedge and our birch tree, and it looks so good. We love how the boxwood hedge turned out. It's going to grow in really nicely. And the tips that we're giving here in these videos are really tips you can follow for any new flower bed you're establishing. We just happen to be establishing a moon garden, which is going to be all white blooms. So if you haven't had a chance to check out part 1, I will link that video down below, as well as the other parts of this series as we film them. So today we are doing something very exciting. We're doing flowering shrubs. This is the first part of this series where we'll actually get to see flowers and see some white stuff. So very excited for that. I did want to point out, how we came to this journey. So we planted all white annuals here last year. We weren't sure if we were going to like it. This flower bed is at the back of our garden, and it's really nice because we can see this from the bedroom when we wake up in the morning. We can see this from our deck if we're out here at night, and the white blooms really do shine bright at night, which is why it's called a moon garden. So we decided that we wanted to fully lean into it. We're planting flowering shrubs, perennials, annuals, all good stuff that is going to have white blooms on it. And what we've been doing is we are getting married next year. So as we have been going around the state of North Carolina looking for wedding venues, we have also been stopping at different nurseries and garden centers along the way. Any new city we go to, we make a list of garden centers, and it's really been a fun way to make a memory as we're planning our wedding. And not that we planned for us to be planting a white garden while we're planning our wedding, but it just worked out that way. So anywho, we've been collecting some of these plants since February, right, Brian?
Yep.
So we have been hoarding these for a long time, and some of them really need to get into the ground. So I know they're going to be happy when we get started today. So I'm going to walk you through all of the flowering shrubs that we'll be planting in our moon garden, and I'll tell you a little bit about them along the way. So let's get into our first one. So this one here is called Yucky Snowflake. This is a Ducha. All of our flowering shrubs are from Proven Winners. This one gets 1 to 2 feet tall and wide, and it is hardy zones 5 to 8. This one is a petite shrub. It will have flowers all along the stems. As you can see, some of them are starting to open. And I would say this is almost full size. Don't you think, Brian?
Yeah, definitely.
And this does bloom on old wood, so if any pruning needs to be done, you want to do it after the flowering is done. Otherwise, you may be cutting off some of your blooms. Like I said, I do think this one is mostly full size. There is this wonky branch right here that's just kind of misshapen. So I'll probably come in here and trim this off. But otherwise, I think we're just gonna let this one go. We're giving it plenty of room to fill out the space here. This is a nice one if you have some part shade area. This is full sun to part shade. And I was out here this morning just kind of looking as the hours went on what our sun situation looks like, and this spot gets the most morning sun of this side of the moon garden, so I think this one will be super happy right here. Okay, so we're going to keep walking, and if you'll remember from part 1, as we go this way, we do get more sun throughout the day. So I'm going to go to this one back here. This is an Illuminati Tower Mock Orange. And look, some of the blooms are starting to open. It's so pretty, and it smells really unique. So the Illuminati Tower Mock Orange gets 3 to 4 feet tall. So it will be almost as tall as our trellis and birdhouse here, but it only gets 1.5 feet wide. So this, again, will fill in this area very nicely. We have one here. We have one on the other side of the trellis. And we were really kind of thinking we wanted some weight back here because we've got some smaller stuff in the front that I'll get to in a second. But we wanted some weight back here so that the trellis didn't feel like it was just out here in the open for no reason. So these will grow in nicely, and these will have blooms all the way up the stalk. Let me check the sun on this. I think these are, so these are sun or part shade. So even though this side may get a little bit more shade than the other side, hopefully they will both be happy here in this spot. So if we move on to the front, around the front of this trellis, I've got 3 Invincible wee white hydrangeas. So we knew that we wanted hydrangeas in this spot. We weren't sure what variety. We went back and forth with a lot. So we started out with saying we wanted little lime hydrangeas, which is a small variety of the limelight hydrangea that everyone loves from Proven Winners. We do already have little limes in another spot of our garden, so we were like, okay, maybe we should go with something different, give a little bit of variety. And then we were saying, okay, well, let's do incredible hydrangeas. We know that those perform really well for us. And again, we already have those in our garden. And those also get pretty big. They get 3 to 5 feet tall and wide. And I think that would just overwhelm the space here. We didn't want to crowd out the David Austin Rose. We really wanted that to shine. So we came down to the Invincible Wee White. This only gets, 1 to 2.5 feet tall and wide. So it is going to stay on the smaller side. And the nice thing about these Annabelle or smooth hydrangeas is that they bloom on new wood. So if you need to prune them down and shape them a little bit more, you can do that, whereas some of like the big leaf hydrangeas or oak leaf hydrangeas, you just kind of got to let those go or sacrifice blooms. We won't have to do that here. If these get too big or unsightly, we can prune them down and they'll still bloom for us every year. I do want to say, this is a moon garden. We're going for all white blooms. The Invincible Wee White does come out a light pink. I know we're pushing the envelope here with that, but hopefully they'll go to a stark white, and I'm sure it will be beautiful. Even if it's pink for a little bit, I think we're still going to love it. So we have 3 of those dotted along here. So we've got the mock orange right here. So I'm going to keep going. You'll notice there is an empty spot right here that we're saving for a bunch of perennials and annuals that are coming. So over here, we have a Glow Girl Spirea. I actually just got this in the mail today. I ordered this online. I haven't been able to find it anywhere locally. But we are giving this one a lot of space to grow. It gets 3 to 4 feet tall and wide. It does bloom on old wood. So if we prune this one at all, we're going to need to make sure that we prune it just after it finishes flowering. Otherwise, we may be losing blooms for the following year. Something I'm super excited about this one for is in the fall, it has really, really beautiful fall color, like oranges and reds. And this is pretty close to our birch tree over here, which will go full yellow. So we're just going to get all kinds of fall interest over here. And I know this seems somewhat small right now, but we have another Spirea in our yard. It's a different type, but we cut it back to about this size. And over the past few weeks, I mean, it has doubled. So I'm very excited to see how this one performs. Maybe it has the same vigor. I really like the bright chartreuse pop back here because everything else kind of has dark foliage right now. So I think this is going to be a really cool addition. So our last flowering shrub, I'm very, very excited about this one. This is a Pugster White butterfly bush. We have another Pugster White, another part of our garden, and then we have 3 Pugster Blues, and they all did fabulous last year. The blooms are like this long, and they're big and fat blooms. This is going to be such a nice pop as we get into the heat of the summer when a lot of our perennials and flowering shrubs are done. things are just kind of languishing, this is going to pick up and it's going to be the star of the show. Up against this birch tree, it's going to be really, really nice. This only gets 2 by 2, so again, we don't need to give this very much room. This also blooms on new wood every year, so if we need to prune this back to size control it a little bit, we can. One thing I want to say about butterfly bushes, especially for us because we have very heavy clay here, we plant all of our butterfly bushes maybe half an inch above the soil and then come along with mulch just to make sure they have really good drainage. They do like water, but they don't like to sit in water. They like to have well-draining soil. So you'll notice we'll plant this one up a little bit, but all of our other butterfly bushes have done really well in our garden, and I'm very, very excited to have this one back here. So that's all of our flowering shrubs for the moon garden. So let's get to planting, shall we? Okay, before we get planting, I know a lot of you have been very curious about where we got this auger that we've been using to plant everything in our videos. So this auger is from Power Planter. It is 3 inches wide, 24 inches long, and this fits into a regular drill. This is a DeWalt hammer drill, but I think probably any drill that you have that is powerful will work. We like this one because it does have a handle here so you can get a nice good grip. Power Planter does make several different sizes of this. I have a link to this one specifically in the description of this video. But if you think that you might want something larger, definitely look into it. We can drill pretty much anything we need to plant with this because you can kind of rock it back and forth. Definitely a bigger auger would be nice, but we would probably have to upgrade the size of our drill. And we're not there yet. So maybe in the future, but this one works very nice for us. Check the description below this video. We'll have a link to this specific size auger. It really is a great staple in your garden because you can plant tulip bulbs with this, you can plant annuals, and I mean, you've seen us plant big giant stuff with this. It really does save a lot of time. Highly, highly recommend. Okay. Now let's get to planting.
All right, everyone, so that is it for this video. We are so happy that we got those in the ground. You can see we ran into some roots in some different places. We had some Vertigo Panacetum where we have the trellis now, and they are really vigorous growers, and they rooted into the ground really, really well last year. So we had to root around those, but I think we got everything in the ground. It looks great.
Yeah, I'm very, very happy with it, and I honestly can't wait to see how these plants act now that they're in the ground. In our experience, plants tend to act a little funny sometimes when they're in their container.
Yep.
And like I said at the beginning, we've been hoarding some of these since February, and those plants needed to get in the ground badly.
Yeah, you could see the mock orange is growing a little bit funny. They usually flower all the way up the stem, and you can tell that they just weren't quite doing that this year. So hopefully they'll be a little bit happier and they'll bloom a little bit more for us, and then next year they'll come in really full.
Yeah, I think next year maybe we'll see their full behavior come to life. Which plant are you most excited about that we...
Definitely the mock orange. I think,
oh, really?
yeah, when we found that, that was one that I was like, I never expected to have one of these. It was on the list from a long time ago, but I never really thought that we would find it. And it just smells so good and it looks so unique.
It does, yeah. So before we started this project, we made a list of, like a moon garden wish list, and it probably had like 50 plus plant varieties on it. And then we came back here and looked at the space, and I was like, maybe we should cut that down a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not that big. So, and even now I'm like, it's going to be tight, but
really
it'll be
stuff
pretty.
it in here.
I think I'm most excited about the pugster, the butterfly bush.
Yep.
Because we have a pugster white, but it wasn't as big as this one that we just planted today. So I'm very excited to see that bloom and come together.
Yeah. I'm super excited for the next video.
Yeah. So this is part 2 of our moon garden series. In our next video that we'll be uploading in a few days, you will see us plant all white perennials. We have some really, really cool stuff. Some of it is in bloom now. Some of it will be coming later. So be on the lookout for that. We're going to fill this bed up. Trust me, it's going to be tight, but it is going to be beautiful.
Yeah. Well, we hope you guys really enjoyed this video. We hope you love the moon garden so far, because we do. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.